Gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene, in addition to Matt Gaetz, in addition to Thomas Massie. You have Marjorie Taylor Greene and others, a number of Republicans wanting to release information on payments made by both Democrats and Republicans to hide very controversial lawsuits, criminal activity, specific criminal activity correlating to what Matt Gaetz has been accused of but never charged with. So the question number one, and you'll hear from Marjorie Taylor Greene and Matt Gaetz and others in a second, the question is, if you're a Democrat and you defended Hunter Biden, and Hunter Biden was accused of similar, perhaps not the exact same type of activity, but similar activity, how do you then go after Matt Gaetz? Especially when you have a laptop where there's potential videos and photos and a money trail and I think thousands upon thousands, perhaps, hundreds of thousands of dollars in payments to people who, let's just say, work in the evenings. Suddenly Democrats forgot that Hunter also paid an enormous, actually, a sum of money, alleged sum of money that dwarfs what Matt Gaetz was accused of. Then there's a list that we can talk about Marjorie Taylor Greene releasing. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. In addition to Matt Gaetz, Thomas Massie, and others, to my super chat, thank you very, very much. We're almost at 300,000 subs, people. You could be the 270th. We're almost at 270,000 subscribers. The 270,000th subscriber. So hit subscribe. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
And to quote Elon, he said something extremely important. Every single payment that the federal government pays out, we need to be checking those payments to see if they're legitimate. And that's something that hasn't been done. I don't know if it's ever been done. There's a massive amount of waste, fraud, and abuse that we have to tackle, and I will be doing that with my subcommittee, and I am looking forward to exposing every single unelected bureaucrat, every single agency that is wasting the American people's money, and the big government departments that need to be exposed for how they're not serving the American people.
Is there a call to cut $2 trillion in spending by 2026?
We didn't mention an exact number. All we talked about was cutting spending. Elon and Vivek talked about having a naughty list and a nice list for members of Congress and senators and how we vote and how we're spending the American people's money. I think that would be fantastic. But one thing is for sure, if we can cut spending, we'll be lowering inflation, and that'll be good for everyone.
When do you start work on your subcommittee? When does that kind of start?
Well, as we all know, the next Congress will convene on January 3rd. It'll take a few weeks to do the order of business, setting up committees and subcommittees, and then we'll be getting ready to roll towards the end of January.
Did Musk say that he would expose and shame Republicans for not cutting spending? I know that Chip Roy said that he had proposed that and Musk had agreed with him. Did he agree with him?
Elon said that there will be, he said, a good list and a naughty list. They also have great ideas that they'll be working on with DOGE. Now, this will be separate from Congress. They're talking about communicating with the American people, perhaps maybe even a weekly podcast or a report, so to speak. They want to bring in members of Congress and senators and let the American people hear from them about their ideas and the programs that they're trying to work on.
So unlike morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats, I'm more conservative now in a lot of things. I used to be on the left or a liberal Democrat or progressive, whatever those words mean, most of my life, up until about 7 years ago. But I'm not beholden to this very twisted tribal paradigm of thought. If Marjorie Taylor Greene is right, if Republicans broke laws, then their hush money payments, quote unquote hush money, because what Trump did was not criminal in any way, shape, or form, paying Stormy. The FEC dropped the case. End of story. He should never have been charged, and it was unconstitutional. The state of New York, no state, has the right to level a federal crime when the Department of Justice dropped the case. It's blatantly unconstitutional, which is why he's never been sentenced. In addition to the fact that the immunity victory in the Supreme Court gave Trump a huge victory over that absurd conviction. But anyway, if people in Congress, Republican or Democrat, see, Democrats don't want lists, they don't want the names of people released, especially from a specific New York Democratic Party donor that's very likely in a place that's very hot, let's say, below the ground. That was a New York Democrat. You can put whatever picture you want of Trump and that person at a party. So what? Trump wasn't pictured in an oil painting of him in a blue dress, unlike some very prominent Democrats. Okay? Trump had his own plane. Okay? You have Democratic donors flying Democrats to island destinations. And you have that taking place, and that's just one scandal, possible scandal. Okay? The same Democrats who defended Hunter, and you can look at all the different, The Guardian, New York Post, Newsweek, Independent, okay? And then you have, go ahead, Marjorie Taylor Greene, make it public. It's like, well, the Democrats don't want it public. It's almost like anything that makes sense that Trump or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Matt Gaetz or others propose, they just don't want because it's Trump or Greene or Matt Gaetz proposing it. So they're like, oh yeah, go ahead. Oh, yeah, you're hiding. If you're hiding information that's criminal in nature, then you're committing a crime. It's like, no, you imbecile. You're probably barking up the wrong tree because it's the Democratic Party that doesn't want this information out there. How do we know? Check this out. This is really interesting. This is really interesting. And hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. Florida Man Bear, thank you. Chat meeting of sort algorithm take. Shalom, Florida Man Bear, thank you. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. But check this out. Florida Man Bear, thank you. To my super chat, thank you. Why don't you think Democrats care if Hunter or Joe are accused of possible bribery, graft, and Hunter with a whole bunch of other similar allegations to Matt Gaetz? Well, take a listen.
Let's tell you what, Mr. Chairman. I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record of this committee the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, which I'm in possession of.
I'm not. There's no objection to that. So I can't say no objection.
So Nadler's like, oh, I can't say no objection. I mean, you know, I can't say no objection. What do I do now?
I've never had.
I will object pending further investigation.
And what's the basis?
Of course they will object pending further investigation. There was never a second. There was never a chance that Democrats would allow any type of information that could lead to the same type of ethics report that was released. Here you have actual evidence, emails, money flow, pictures, videos. You have evidence that can be used in a court of law. An ethics report cannot be. I guess you could use it in a court of law, but it's not evidence to charge anything of anyone. To just charge anyone of anything. It's an ethics report. If the Department of Justice charged Matt Gaetz, then of course he should go to prison and not serve as Attorney General or whatever. We have Pam Bondi, who's even better. But I'm not like Democrats. I'm not like this tribal I don't like hold allegiance to one political ideology. I'm more conservative on a lot of things because it makes more sense. I love Trump because he's a great president, not because he's a Republican. Democrats voted for, they chose Biden, who then was so terrible in one debate that the entire planet said, my God, the man can't communicate, which is the conspiratorial theory that everyone on the planet was talking about that, of course, came true. So many things that are viewed as conspiratorial by Democrats end up coming true. Bernie Sanders being cheated, Biden not being competent or capable of communicating effectively for obvious reasons. Oh my God, they were deepfake videos. But now, and so it's like you have a situation where it's actually Democrats that want to hide all of the funding, all of the payments, all of the evidence that can be used in the court of law. And they want to hide the congressional slush fund. We'll get to that in a second. But real quick, let's just listen to this again. This is a really, really interesting video right here.
Mr. Chairman, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record of this committee the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, which I'm in possession of.
I'm not.
There's no objection to that.
So I can't say no objection.
I've never had.
I will object pending further investigation.
And what's the?
What was the problem? If he was caught with some kind, if indeed the contents were fabricated, then they would have found that out. That would have hurt them. That would have hurt Matt Gaetz politically. That would have helped Democrats. So why did Nadler and Democrats not want to see that in a congressional hearing? Okay, whether he was bluffing or not, he probably was bluffing. Okay, but whether he was or not, this is Congress's job. This was the House Judiciary Committee. Okay, this was several years back. It's like you wonder why. You wonder why Democrats they pretend to be on this morally superior pedestal, but they cheat Bernie Sanders, they cheated Biden, they ousted the most popular candidate of all time, so much so that you are a denier. The word being a terrible euphemism now, but correlating to denying historical record of the most barbaric, evil, just most the greatest atrocities known to mankind. You deny these things took place, and the historical record of those events are just as seared into the memory of mankind and historical record as, of course, Biden's pristine victory over Trump, in which 3 years later, the most popular Democrat of all time, infinitely more popular than President Obama, according to the numbers, was ousted after one debate and 3 weeks of a media meltdown that Trump has had to deal with every single day forever. Tell me how that makes sense. Then you have articles written by Democrats who are like, oh, go ahead, release the information. Marjorie Taylor Greene should. But you do realize more Democrats are probably going to be revealed than Republicans. A lot more Democrats. For a number of reasons. This is one example right here.
Basis of that objection.
It's a unanimous consent request, and I object pending.
Very well, I have a subsequent question. Mr. Chairman.
Don't you love the advisor behind Nadler? It's hilarious. It's fantastic. He's just gonna go ahead and no. We're Democrats. We love to go after Matt Gaetz. Hunter Biden. No, we can't. No, not Hunter. Matt Gaetz, yes. No. Ethics Committee before Christmas, yes. No, not the laptops. No.
What, Mr. Chairman? I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record of this committee the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, which I'm in possession of. Mr. Chairman, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record of this committee the contents of Hunter Biden's laptop, which I'm in possession of. which I'm in possession of.
I'm not.
There's no objection to that.
So I can't say.
We have to pontificate and pretend that we're morally superior. When Matt Gaetz will accuse him of doing something he didn't do. There's a lot of people. It will have the media go after him. No, laptop. Picture of blue dress. No. Democratic donors. Sam Bankman-Fried. No. Hollywood producers in prison now. 90s rap stars with their parties. No. This is what you should do. And you need to really be careful. Don't let the information come out.
No objection.
I've never had.
I will object pending further.
We will object pending Starship Enterprise log 538. I don't know, something. The search for Spock, something. We were pending. We will object. Just stop it.
Further investigation.
And what's the basis of that objection?
It's a unanimous consent request, and I object pending.
Very well, I have a subsequent question. Mr. Chairman, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record.
What's the reason for the objection? Say unanimous consenting request or whatever you just said. It's obviously unanimous consent. What my friend told me.
Record the receipt.
It may very well be
from the Mac shop.
It may very well be entered into the record after we look at it further.
Very well, Mr.
We, of course, have to look at it further to delete all the incriminating data that could indict and imprison Democrats.
Chairman, I have a subsequent unanimous consent.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I seek unanimous consent to enter into the record the receipt from the Department of Justice.
Mr. Chairman, this is Ms.
to the
Deming.
Mac shop.
Am I next, or am I next?
Without objection, and now Ms. Demings.
So now you know this is a fantastic little moment in time, okay? That's a fantastic moment in time that I don't think many people really, and there's a New York Post article behind me. You saw Democrats have laptops, they have private servers, they have donor lists. I mean, and they have a media that's like, oh yeah, go ahead. I mean, if you have information on like bad things that we've done, I mean, if you're holding it, then you're actually committing a crime, aren't you? It's just gonna backfire on you. It's like, no, you're the one who's scared now because you released an ethics report that allowed journalists to run salacious headlines against Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz accused of this, and that, report says. But nobody really reads report says. I mean, people who are just going about their daily business, like, oh, what? Matt Gaetz? What? Oh my God. Oh, my goodness. A report said it? Could it be true? Maybe it is true. Oh, I don't know. That's what floods the airwaves. People sue because of that. There was one, I mean, we don't have to get into it, but there's lawsuits out there where publications have either gone under or completely changed their platform because of that type of thing. So it's like the Democratic donors and the Democratic like supporters, 90s rappers, 90s musicians, Hollywood producers, nobody says, oh, that conservative Republican party. You could say, yeah, the same things happen. Probably. Could be. Who knows? But like from Bob Menendez to Bill Clinton to Hunter Biden, their media does not want to talk about any of those people. Barely. They won't even really address allegations. It will just be a quick, one headline. It's like, it's bad if Matt Gaetz did it. It's bad if Joe Biden did it. I'm not going to defend a Republican because they're a Republican. Democrats will do that with Hunter. They'll do that with others. Okay? But Matt Gaetz doesn't have a laptop. He doesn't have videos and pictures and a money trail. I say, well, he paid people. It's like, okay, that is the crime. So why wasn't he charged? If you have a payment trail, it's very easy to convict somebody. So why wasn't he charged? Okay? I mean, that's a big issue. But here, let's go ahead and... This is what Congress does, ladies and gentlemen.
It really makes me very angry.
Taxpayers speaking out about a little-known fund now making big headlines. Congress's Office of Compliance says over the last 20 years, taxpayers have shelled out more than $17 million.
They should be paying it out of their own pocket. Why make us pay for their sins?
The Office of Compliance is like HR for Congress members, staffers, and legislative branch agencies. Some have called the money a congressional slush fund for sexual harassment payouts. But the office says the $17 million total includes settlements pertaining to a range of workplace issues.
So that's complete, by Congress, that's congressional nonsense. And then you have Democrats saying it's misleading. It's not really $17 million for all the types of things that were accused of Matt Gaetz. Like, well, yeah. A congressional Republican or Democrat, they're not going to go out of their way to hide some kind of dispute because they fired a staffer. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. You know, and you have like articles written, well, go ahead, release it. It's like, well, you're probably going to get more Democrats. Okay. If you get more Republicans, I won't care, even though I love Trump and I'm more conservative and I want, you know, I mean, conservative policies now are just pretty like logical, rational. You want to address like serious problems. For example, ending never-ending wars. That's one major goal of the Trump administration. Addressing the issue at the border, which is a serious national security issue. These are all things that Democrats used to care about. They used to be anti-war. They used to be actually quite conservative. Now, when you look, they were actually quite conservative when it came to issues pertaining to the border immigration. Making sure that inflation goes down without interest rates going up. So when Democrats say, oh, well, interest rates went down, it's like, well, you flooded the country full of strategic petroleum reserves, and then you interest rates increased exponentially and mortgage rates doubled. So that's why inflation went down. Not because the economy was on sound footing, on solid ground. But it's $17 million mostly for embarrassing lawsuits. And they say, oh, it's over 20 years. I'm like, oh, almost $1 million a year? Congratulations, that's really good.
Like overtime or the Family and Medical Leave Act. Last week, Congressman John Conyers confirmed his office paid what amounted to a, quote, reasonable severance payment to a former staffer who accused him of sexual harassment. He denies the charges. Still, Congress members say change is needed.
Should taxpayer dollars be used to pay out congressional sexual harassment settlements?
No, absolutely not. And I think it's outrageous. If you want to settle one of these things, do it with your own money.
That's exactly what California Congresswoman Jackie Spear is trying to make happen. She introduced legislation that would make a...
So Tulsi Gabbard introduced legislation as well. Okay, the average Democrat, you're probably going to see a lot of never Trump Republicans and, you know, the morally superior liberal Democrats who, you know, disparage Trump. The problem with the Democratic Party is that it's become the modern day equivalent of televangelists. They're liberal televangelists. They judge, pontificate, condemn people. They excommunicate anyone. They shun anyone that they believe commits blasphemy. They judge others. They live in glass houses. And it's like, you know, they just believe a lot of complete fantasy and nonsense. Trump could have been a Kremlin operative. And It's a whole bunch of nonsense from the Steele dossier. And then, look, you have a report, but a report is just that. It's nothing. It's just a report written almost certainly by Democrats or Democratic staffers. But again, you're just throwing or slinging mud. If you have a hotel receipt, or where's the video footage? Where's the video footage of Matt Gaetz and the person who is not of age? You can't. There's video footage all over the place in Hunter's laptop, allegedly. So where's the video footage? And so it's like, that's what I asked with the Steele dossier. I remember years back, we spent tens of billions of dollars on intelligence, and the only thing that the entire American political establishment rallies around is a dossier purchased by Clinton that eventually the Clinton campaign and DNC paid fines for. But anyway, let's continue with this.
So much. I wish you were all in the United States Senate. I wanted quite badly to be your next Attorney General, and to be nominated by President Trump for that position was indeed the honor of my professional life. And I view it greatly as a validation of the choice that the voters in Northwest Florida made over and over again to send me to fight for them. But some things don't go according to plan. Matter of fact, one of my Republican colleagues said to me as I had been nominated, Matt, if you leave the Republican conference in the House of Representatives and go to the Department of Justice, we actually think you can improve the quality of both institutions. But I saw the writing on the wall, and that my nomination would cause a delay of the important work that we see ahead. And that is because there remain anti-Trump forces within the Republican conference in the United States Senate. And President Trump needs an Attorney General on day one.
And that's the problem. You've had Republicans who live and breathe media. Media support is like the equivalent. Media for politicians is the equivalent of a marketing campaign for a movie, a Hollywood movie. So you have politicians that desperately need media. That's why you have too many. Well, actually, you don't have that many anymore, but you have some people who are still somewhat never-Trumpers. The never-Trumpers are really non-existent, but you've had that Republican, presence, Liz Cheney, a whole bunch of Republicans who are no longer in Congress anymore because they thought that media rallying around them would give them a new lease on life or a new career. But it doesn't really work that way, especially if you've allegedly destroyed evidence like Liz Cheney alleged to have done.
Just assumed when I withdrew my nomination, looking at everyone else who had been Attorney General, that I would be replaced by someone less attractive. But instead we got Pam Bondi, who is brilliant and lovely, who is talented and courageous, who is creative and bold. Pam Bondi will be a phenomenal Attorney General for President Trump. She has my support and all of ours, and we're going to do everything to see that the mission is accomplished. But the DOJ must change. It must end weaponization of our government. It must facilitate rather than frustrate the largest deportation in American history. It must stop the unlawful surveillance of our fellow Americans. And it must punish the companies involved in the transport, manufacturing, and distribution of fentanyl. And most importantly, on day one, the Department of Justice has to be ready to pardon the non-violent January 6th defendants who were abused by a two-tier justice system. Pam will do these things. We must get her confirmed, and as we look at these Senate confirmations, I must say, I think I moved the Overton window just a bit. The Senate must confirm Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., and perhaps most importantly, my good friend for the next FBI Director, Kash Patel.
I absolutely love Kash Patel and Tulsi Gabbard. I think John Ratcliffe will do an amazing job, and Pam Bondi, I think, will do a phenomenal job. This is the first time Trump has actually had his own cabinet. So you'd have media saying, well, Trump nominated Ray. He nominated this person. Like, well, that, Bolton worked for Trump. It's like, well, Bolton, he's never been right about any foreign policy topic, and he still would do the Iraq war over again. These are the type of Republicans that have completely destroyed the old Republican Party, which is fine. Now it's a populist Republican Party that is against never-ending military conflict. That's what drives me. That's what drives me. And that's why people vote for Trump. That's why he won the popular vote. If foreign policy was actually the reason Trump won the popular vote. Because there were a lot of people who were like, I'm just tired of all the chaos and mayhem around the world. It was inflation and foreign policy. Then you have I watch the same channels you watch, ladies and gentlemen, and there was this fantastic interview between Tim Pool and a young liberal pundit, and he was saying, well, the policies for the Harris administration, they were doing, it was very good. They lowered inflation. They didn't even think inflation was an issue. They said it was temporary. Biden and his Treasury Secretary said it was a temporary. So then it went up to 9%. Then they they raised interest rates. But it was like Democrats don't realize they raised interest rates exponentially, mortgage rates doubled, and then they flooded millions of barrels of strategic petroleum reserves. Okay? Then inflation went down, but it's like, yeah, then your credit card bills went up, and it was double the amount for a mortgage because interest rates went up. When interest rates go up, that helps curb inflation. But they don't, it's like, there's such an allegiance to the Democratic Party by wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats. They'll deal with inflation as long as they don't have Trump. They don't even want a good economy with Trump. It's like they're not even looking forward to a much better economy where you have job growth that doesn't correlate only to government workers or foreign-born workers.
Republican senators should be ashamed of themselves if they believe the Hillary Clinton lie that somehow Tulsi Gabbard is a Russian agent. I care far more.
That's another really sad and pathetic element of the Democratic Party and of liberal politics. Anyone who disagrees with Democrats is an agent of the Kremlin. Anyone. Even if there's they indicted a company that was a sponsor for some channels and they're like, then it was all over. Oh my God, this person was paid by the Russians. It's like, no, whatever pundit you're talking about who's conservative, they opposed Biden's foreign policy long before they had that sponsorship that was indicted by the DOJ. And the sponsorship did not foment or influence or cause the viewpoint to be created. So the guilt by association, that's another tenet of liberal politics. But it's never, when you use it against them, it's like, well, one pundit said we deserved the 11th of September. Or do you distance yourself from that? Oh, no, that's different. Anyway, we can go on. I'm lost in the weeds here, but let's go on. Tulsi Gabbard is a patriot, an honorable, very courageous patriot, a very courageous woman who was a fantastic congresswoman. Everything Democrats despise. She had her own mind. She did not, owe any allegiance to any political party. And she actually, one of her first things in Congress was to try to find out a peaceful solution to an endless quagmire that got even worse during Biden's administration. She actually flew to a very dangerous region of the world. And Democrats found a way to disparage that. Okay. It's really, Democrats and liberals used to want peace, world peace. Now that's out the window.
That Tulsi Gabbard will clean up the deep state, tell the truth, and keep America out of forever wars. And while it is a little odd, I don't particularly care that RFK Jr. may have killed a bear or texted back a thirsty reporter. I care far more that RFK Jr. will stop big pharma and big food and big chemical companies from killing our fellow Americans through poison. And it is offensive to me that Republican senators want to tweeze through the life of Pete Hegseth when they haven't lifted a finger in many cases for the lives of the 8,600 patriots who were purged from the Department of Defense as the consequence of an unlawful vaccine mandate. I won't rest, Hegseth won't rest, and Donald Trump will not rest until those patriots are welcomed back with their full rank and back pay. Republican senators, we, the voters of this movement.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we have what? A little over 20 days. Happy New Year to everybody. Merry Christmas to everybody. Happy holidays. God bless you all. To my super chat, thank you. We are almost at 270,000 subscribers. Let's get over 270 very soon and onwards to 300. I think this year is going to be a great year politically for the country, for this channel, hopefully for everyone watching. It'll be a fantastic and beautiful year for you. God bless you all. What can I say? I'll see you tomorrow. They don't want transparency. You saw how Nadler reacted to Matt Gaetz. They want to hide laptops, secret servers, congressional servers, if you want to go back in a scandal that from years back. They just love hiding information, Democrats, or accusing you of doing the Kremlin's bidding if you question their motives or any bizarre thing. Anyway, God bless you all.